Hi there, this is Jeanette for Whimsy Stamps, and today I have a new card to share with you that features some new products from the February release. I used the image Floral Waves as well as the new typography letter set, and I paired it up with dies from previous releases to create this card. So the first thing we're going to do is the coloration. If you don't want to see the coloration, you can skip to about midway through this video and you can see how I create the rest of the card. So my image was stamped on Neenah cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink, and now I'm starting to do the skin. So I listed the skin colors, they just were at the bottom of the screen, and I listed them in order that I use them. So I always start from light and work gradually towards the dark, blending in between, and then I work backwards. So you can see I'm adding the shadows now with, this is my darkest marker that I'll be using, and I'm making sure to add shadows around her eyes and to define her nose a little bit and at her collarbone. Now I'm going to work with my middle color for my skin, and I'm just working to blend away any harsh lines so that I get a nice graduated blend. I'm being careful not to go too much into the white area because I still have another color to use, and you really want to have some difference between your dark areas and your light areas. So this is my lighter color, so I'm blending in, working towards the darker area, but being careful not to cover too much over it. I'll do the neck area as well. And now I'm going to bring in some cheek color. I'm going to blend that out with a lighter color and then blend it with my lightest marker again. So that's basically how I do my skin. Just working to make sure there's no harsh lines and it looks exactly how I want it to be. For her eyes, I'm working with a series of green markers, sort of keeping the darkest colors to the right side, upper right side. I did dot in some dark gray to serve as pupils, but I'm sort of blending it a little bit as well so that it looks natural. And then what I'll do is I'll add two little white highlights with a gel pen, and that really brings life to the image. I'm going to start on the hair now, and I guess I am so in the midst of like snowstorm after snowstorm where I live. There was so much snow piled up behind my house that I just really wanted something that looked really spring-like. And when I saw this hair and the beautiful waves in the hair and the flowers, I thought, I'm going to make her hair pink and offset it with some green for her eyes and the flowers. And so that's why I'm making pink hair. And I think it looks really cute. So I'm just working with some lighter colors right now, and then I will bring in my darker colors, and I'm just sort of drawing lines almost. I'm doing a flicking motion. I'm not coloring over the entire area. I am concentrating the darkest part of the lines sort of at the end of each curl. So if you look at the curls, it's sort of like a wave. So at the beginning and the end of the wave, that's where I'm keeping the darker colors, and in the middle part of the wave, I'm leaving it lighter. And that way you create some highlights and you create it to look like more realistic, or as realistic as bright pink hair can be. So I'm just working on one side right now, and then I'll move to the other side. I was also thinking that it'd be really pretty to do like a blonde hair, and then just the ends you could put pink. I know a lot of people are doing that. They're sort of putting color at the bottom of their hair, so you could do that with pink or blue or purple. That would look really pretty too. I did get a little bit of that pink on her face, so what I did was I took my mid marker and I sort of dabbed at it to sort of push the color back towards the hair, and then I blended it out with my lighter marker. So if you make a mistake like that, all is not lost. You can really still blend the color out. So now I've got a darker color and I'm just working at defining the edges or where hair is lying on top of other hair. Just really trying to define that so that it pops out a little bit. I ended up pulling another marker out. So I ended up using quite a few colors in the hair, but that was just to get the look I wanted. So now I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So these are new images or a new illustrator, and I think they're beautiful. I worked with one last January. I made a video. I'll link to that here for you. And this month there's another one. It's a girl with braids. So pretty. I think I might do a video with that if I have time. And I think in the next few months we'll be having more releases with this artist. So I think they're really pretty. I love the fact that it's just sort of the head. You can do a lot of fun things on a card with that. So again, I am just using my darker marker, just trying to define some areas. And I will blend a little bit with my lighter marker so it's not too stark. So I did decide it still wasn't dark enough in some areas, so I went and got a really dark red, which had less actually violet in it. It was more pure red. And I'm just concentrating, you can see on the overlap edges, just concentrating there. And that just gives it a little bit more definition, and I use that to fill in the eyebrow as well. I'm going to work a little bit more in the eyes, being careful not to touch my Copic marker to the gel because that would ruin the tip of my marker. And then I'm just using the same greens to do the sort of frill of her dress, the leaves and the flowers. I'm just using a little bit of color in the flowers and using quite a bit of the darker color in the leaves, so there's a bit of a contrast there. So I did have a little bit of pink that went onto the flower petals, so I'm just using my colorless blender. I'm just sort of dabbing at those areas and pushing that pink out of the petals. Be careful when you're doing this that you don't overdo it. Then I pulled out that white gel pen again, and I'm just drawing some highlight lines through her hair, and this is going to really make it look like there's light shining on her hair. You're going to see all kinds of little highlights, and it really brings the whole image to life. So what I did next was I cut that out using my little scissors here, and these two little areas I'm just using my Ranger craft knife to get those cut out. So now I have the dies that I thought I was going to use and the alphabets and some paper. This is from the Whimsy Summer Breeze paper pack. So I pulled out this sort of tone-on-tone paper, and I'm going to cut the paper out using the large die in the Many Thanks card builder set. So this is really fun because it cuts it just perfectly to put onto an A2 size card. I'm going to cut out this doodled doily die using some Nina cardstock, as well as the honeycomb pattern die. Cut those out. I did use a metal shim to make sure that everything's sort of cut really crisply. And anything that stayed within the die I'm going to just poke out with my craft knife. And I used a little piece of score pal tape just to grab the die out of the metal portion. So now you can see I've added the background onto a card base. going to add that doily over onto the side. I'm putting some runner tape on the image, and then just along the sides, because there's some tiny little bits, I'm using some zig glue just to make sure that they stay down. Then I realized I really should have put this down first, so I had to kind of pull up the doily a little bit. And then to glue it, I realized that this was not going to work very well, so I flipped it, and then I could just add the glue onto it, and then I put a mounting block to keep it pressed down onto the paper as it dried. Using some black cardstock, I cut out this banner, which is also in the Many Thanks card builder set. And then I'm going to be embossing it with the letters from this new set. I love this set. They have the uppercase and lowercase letters. So I'm going to be stamping the word happy using some Versamark ink. Just making sure to sort of line it up so that it's all straight. Then I'll take that and I will sprinkle some embossing powder over top it, and then I took it over to the side and used my heat gun to emboss it. And now I can just sort of place it underneath the doily. Then I pulled out these enamel dots and just sprinkled just a few, not too many, here and there on my card. Added a little bit more zig glue and let it dry a little bit underneath that mounting block. And now my card is done. I just retouched the highlights in the eyes, and it's all finished. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. A link to all the supplies and more information can be found below this video on YouTube or on my blog. Thanks for watching.